All right, good evening. We will call to order the February 26th, 2026 meeting of the Huntington City Planning Commission order. Just a reminder to all of the members on the committee to unmute the microphone when you're ready to speak so that the audio system picks that up. Miranda, would you do a roll call, please?
Jim Sproul. Adam Cutress.
Present.
Scott Thornsberry. Rabia Ayub.
Present.
Dave Funk.
Present.
Ashley Allen. Andrew Rinsberger.
Present.
Tanner Babb.
Present.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, consideration of minutes. Consideration of the January 22nd, 2026 meeting minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Miranda? Yes, please. Oh, nobody's virtual tonight. We don't have to roll call this time. Yeah. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of the January 22nd, 2026 meeting minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Moving on to administrative matters. There are none on the agenda tonight, so we'll move on to declaration of conflict of interest. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest for the board to declare tonight? Not seeing or hearing any. We will move on to new business. Docket PC-26-001, application filed by MBN Properties LLC, requesting to reclassify zoning from B2 business and R1 residential to R2 residential on a property located on Waterworks Road between Etna Avenue and Willow Bend. Is the petitioner here tonight? Seeing that they are, I'd ask the petitioner to step up to the podium, state your name and address, and what your request is for tonight. A note for everybody, when you're speaking at the podium, please speak into the microphone, state your name and address, and so that the audio system can pick it up. Go ahead.
My name is Caleb Hetrick, address 7563 East Lincoln Way Road, Columbia City, Indiana, 46725.
Thank you. Go ahead and state what your petition is tonight.
So I am the vice president of our construction team. We build new residential custom homes and we do light commercial properties. I am the applicant for the 4.75 acre parcel located on 2490 Waterworks Way, or Waterworks Road, sorry. We are requesting that the entire property be rezoned to R2 residential. Currently, the property is split between B2 commercial and R1 residential. We believe unifying the property under 2 is the most excuse me, appropriate zoning classification. This property currently sits between commercial use on one side and then an established R1 residential neighborhood on the other. R2 zoning provides an appropriate transition use between the commercial activity and the lower density residential neighborhood on the right.
Thank you. Is that all you have at this time?
One more thing, sorry.
Go ahead.
R2, zoning as R2 creates a cohesive, thoughtful plan residential transition, eliminating the split zoning that it's currently parceled as, and then aligns with the responsible land use planning principles, and we respectfully request the board's support.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will open the public hearing portion of the meeting regarding PC, this docket. I'd ask if there's anyone from the public here to speak. Again, state your name and address into the microphone and direct all of your comments towards the commission in front of you. If there's anyone wishing to speak, please step up to the microphone.
Yeah, my name is Tom Ginsburg at 2074 Willow Bend. We live directly right behind the woods. There's a lot of questions. What are they gonna build? What kind of, I mean, are they subsidized housing? I mean, we thought we were coming here today and find out some information so we could have questions. We got nothing other than just, is this a forum for that, or is it at the zoning board for that? Who can answer that question? Would that be at a zoning board meeting, or is that now? Because there's a lot of, I mean, we have the back of our yard into those woods. We get flooding back there right now, pretty bad on a normal rain. If you wipe out all those woods, all that trees absorb all that water. Where's all that runoff gonna go? You know, how about I mean, is it subsidized apartments?
Sir, I need you to direct your
Okay.
comments to the
Well,
board, please.
The property value of my house, I'd like to know if it's gonna stay the same or go down, if we're gonna need more subsidized housing in Huntington. I don't know, I was hoping to get more answers from the people that are trying to build this, but we got nothing other than the zoning. Anyways, I'm done.
Anyone else wishing to speak during the public hearing portion of this? Go ahead. Can you pull the microphone closer and name and address,
My name
please?
is Victoria Gare. I live at 1932 Hunters Ridge here in Huntington. What is it that you're wanting to build?
Are you speaking with relation to?
This gentleman just came up here talking about the property. What is it that they're going to put on that property is what my question is. Does nobody know? All these people? Nobody
So,
can answer?
ma'am, just let me clarify, this is a public hearing. The board's role in this portion of the meeting is to hear all the questions and comments. They will then formulate questions potentially to the applicant. The applicant will have a chance to address questions maybe that you have raised. It is not a back and forth at this point.
And when would we get those answers?
If the applicant wishes to disclose what their eventual plans are, that would be,
Would that be this evening?
they will have an opportunity for that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Gentlemen, my name is Michael Keplinger.
Let up a little bit. Thank you.
My name is Michael Keplinger. I have the property at 2480 Waterworks. I'm not a resident there. It's a rental property. I actually grew up there since 1966 when I was a boy, then got married and left, and my parents lived there until they passed away, and I bought it back. And it's a rental property. My concern is the property behind me used to be a salvage yard. I grew up there. Saw a lot of windows out with a BB gun. Anyway, my concern is during my course of living in the vicinity, having a business at Mike's Car Care, because I received the notice for this also, for 28 years. Being a salvage yard, there wasn't a lot of EPA regulations and everything going on back in the day. And I know that property saturated, all the materials and everything, cars that were remaining were removed after the sale of the property. But I guess one of my concerns would be, has the land, quality of the land, I'm not sure if these investors that realize, I'm sure they do, because I know when the property became for sale, I was going to be one of the applicants to pursue it, but then somebody, I won't mention names, somebody approached me and said, hey, you might want to consider, because that's, you know, been abandoned for a long time. My concern was if I bought it, because I wanted to keep the Bible trailer. That was my whole interest, was just solely for that. And so I own the track beside it, which is a 1 acre track, and I moved the Bible trailer here to make sure that would stay forever. I think that's a great influence for our community, for our kids. So, but my concern is, I'm not necessarily saying I'm here for or against it, but my concern is, you know, somebody had said that they thought that they removed some of the topsoil. I'll be honest with you, being that I don't live there anymore, but my travel back and forth for work for 28 years, I do not remember, or it would have definitely caught my attention, somebody come in and cleaned the property up in the soil. So, I mean, back in late 60s, early 70s. They were crushing cars like crazy, fluid all over there. Been back there many a times myself buying parts over the years, and there's a lot of oil and everything saturating the ground. I guess that would be primarily a concern for any future development. Like I said, I'm not here to oppose or favor, but I'm not sure if some of you are all aware. They used to be, I know Dave probably wouldn't because it's been around a moment, but you know, this has been, you know, it was a salvage yard for many years, and like I said, I'm sure there's violations that went on, but during the time, the regulations weren't that strict, so that's my concern.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Jillian Rice. I own the property 145 Schultz Drive, which directly borders the backside of this. I would like to add to what Mike has said, that it was a junkyard for a very long time. My mother also owned this property since 1988, so it's a direct inheritance thing. But anyway, at no point have any of those cars ever been cleaned out or that topsoil removed. In fact, there was still a rusted car that I would play on as a child, and I'm only 33. So I am concerned about this, as there are people with wells in that neighborhood that do not even drink their own water because the soil is so polluted. What will happen if we disturb this soil, dig it up, expose it to further rain, runoff, cut these trees down that are binding this soil that has these contaminations in it? What will happen to that? Where will the Bible trailer go that sits on that property? Where will that be removed, relocated to? Now, there are a lot of wild animals in that area. It's very nice, very private, really quiet with all those trees. Once all of that is cut down, everything is removed. This is so loud, so loud. Will there be any fences put up, anything to mitigate the sound or potential contamination of other people's properties around there? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak for this item on the agenda? All right, thank you. At this point, we will close the public hearing portion and move on to staff report. You want them to do that now or after? Okay. Does the petitioner wish to respond to any of the items brought up tonight? Okay, feel free to step up to the microphone. If you could state your name and address
Hi,
as well.
I'm David Brown with DA Brown Engineering, the engineer for the applicant of 549 Auburn, Indiana. We're coming here for a rezoning of the property at the moment. The anticipation, which is all dependent on the rezoning, there was a slide I saw. So this is, once again, this is very preliminary because it's all dependent on whether or not the rezoning takes place. So the intent at this point in time is to have townhome apartments at this point. These would be market rate apartments that would be built on the project. Quality builder that has done multiple things in Huntington County, places. But that's the intent with the rezoning. But once again, that is all dependent on the rezoning taking place. And then there would be a primary plat submitted, which then will come back before the board and make sure that everything meets all of these standards that we have. So with that being said, we understand that there's a lot of process, or there's a lot of issues with the project. Any development work has a bunch of things that we have to address: water, sewer, storm, traffic, all those things will be addressed appropriately. But at this point in time, we feel that this is a good buffer between the commercial that's on Etna. We have a nice residential use, potential residential use that goes between these two. Not that it really matters, but there's a 1969 BZA variance on the property for a machine shop. So there could be a machine shop on there that would be commensurate from what I just heard with this being an auto salvage yard. But that's not what we're doing. We want this to be a residential use between the two. It's not a single-family residential, it would be apartment style, but it'd be townhomes. That's the intent. Questions I may answer?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anybody on the commission have any questions for the petitioner at this time? Not seeing or hearing any questions. This would conclude the public hearing portion of the meeting, and I'd turn it over to Bren for staff report.
Thank you. The request before you this evening is to rezone 4.637 net acres of real estate on Waterworks Road between Etna Avenue and Willow Bend from its current split zoning, B2 business on the western portion and R1 residential on the eastern portion, to all R2 residential. The applicant seeks to rezone the parcel to all R2 residential zoning in order to facilitate a 36-unit residential apartment development consisting of 2-story townhome-type units across 8 buildings. The project's proposed residential density is 8.24 units per acre. The lot is comprised of a part of the southwest corner of Section 22, Township 28 North, Range 9 East. The lot has 260.5 feet of frontage along Waterworks Road. No structures currently exist on the subject real estate. An outbuilding formerly associated with J&D Auto Parts, a junkyard that once operated at this site, has since been demolished. The following land use classifications exist immediately adjacent to the subject property. To the north exist R1 residential and B2 business. To the east, R1 residential and R1A residential. To the south, R1 residential, and to the west, B2 business. Land uses surrounding the subject property to the north include single-family residential, to the east, single-family residential, to the south, institutional in the form of schools, and to the west, single-family residential and restaurant. The history of the site: the subject property has been in the jurisdiction of the city of Huntington since at least 1972. Zoning was established in the city in March of 1958. The historical zoning of the property is as follows. From 1972 to 1981, the property was zoned R1 residential. From 1981 to present, the property has been zoned split R1 residential and B2 zoning. Historical uses of the property include a junkyard in 57, a junkyard in 77, as shown in the staff report, and in 87, and then by 1994, the property was vacant. The subject property has a prior county BZA variance of use under docket BZ 69002, approval of a machine shop to operate on the property. Adjacent parcels have notable variances, including county BZA 59005, a gas station for the parcel immediately to the west, and County BZA 61006, a trailer court to the north. No easements are known to exist on the subject parcel. The subject property has most recently been a vacant woodlot for the last 36 years. As stated prior to this, it was a junkyard for approximately 33 years. The Bulldog Garage was located immediately west with Baxter's Restaurant to the north. The applicant seeks to utilize the property for residential apartment development purposes and desires to unify the real estate under a single zoning district. The immediate area is diverse in terms of existing land uses. To the north exists single-family residential dwellings on larger lots with auto repair beyond that. To the east exists one-family residential uses on a subdivision-sized lots. To the south exists an elementary and a middle school. To the west exists a restaurant and single-family dwellings, with additional dwellings beyond that. As previously detailed, zoning map amendments in 1981 under docket PC 110 impacted this property and the area with a strip of B2 zoning, 1 parcel width and depth, applied along the east side of Etna Avenue from Shoals Drive to Waterworks Road. Stony Brooks Heights, a single-family residential subdivision located directly to the east, was originally platted in 1979, with the most recent section being platted in 2016, and one final remaining section to be platted still. All presently platted lots in the subdivision have been built upon, and the subdivision is zoned R1A and has been since the time of its inception. The split zone nature of this property is not ideal, especially considering that overall zoning classes differ and some of the uses of the B2 district can directly conflict with the exclusive single-family uses that are provided for in the R1. The bulk development standards for the current R1 and the B2 zoning district, as well as those for the proposed R2 district, are detailed in the staff report for your review. The list of permitted uses and special exception uses in the R2 district are also detailed in that staff report. It is noted that a special exception for the Board of Zoning Appeals would be needed for the proposed multifamily dwelling complex. That assumes that council ultimately approves the rezoning request before you tonight. The 2022 update to the City of Huntington's 2012 Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map identifies the following future land uses for the property, the western portion being general commercial and the eastern portion being residential medium density. Those anticipated uses are defined as follows: general commercial land for retail and service-oriented activities, including big box stores that are primarily accessed by vehicles, may require larger parking or service areas than that of the commercial downtown area, and residential medium density, which is land for single and two-family structures upon individual lots, that these uses are generally located on the perimeter of neighborhoods, along collector streets, and with close proximity to commercially developed areas or the urban core. The comprehensive plan states that the future land use map should be utilized when applying land use recommendations to specific properties. The future land use map builds upon current development patterns within the city, and future land uses should strive to be compatible with the surrounding area, and appropriate transitional land uses should be utilized as natural buffers. Non-conforming land uses should be discouraged over time, with the caveat that in some cases their elimination may not be realistic or in the best interest of the community. The following goal, strategy, and objectives from the comprehensive plans would support the proposal before you tonight. In the housing section, Section B, Goal 1, to develop and maintain the quality and variety of housing options required to adequately meet the needs of current and future residents while increasing and retaining homeownership. Section C, Strategy and Recommendation 1, to promote the maintenance of existing and the creation of new housing options of various types to meet the needs of all residents regardless of their socioeconomic status. And Section C, Strategy and Recommendation 8, to promote infill housing development that both residents and visitors recognize as being high quality and aesthetically pleasing to neighborhoods. In the land use section, Section B, Goal 1, to encourage a variety of land uses coordinated in geographic locations in order to meet the needs of a diverse community which contains thriving neighborhoods, business areas, employment centers, and civic places that provide an opportunity for wholesome life within a dynamic environment for residents. Land use Section B, Objective 1, to coordinate a harmonious balance of land uses throughout the city and its jurisdictional area in order to promote a vibrant and diverse community. Land use Section B, Objective 9, to encourage development patterns which offer the efficiencies of densities and a mixture of uses, including single-family developments and the appropriate commercial areas. Land use Section B, Objective 10, to integrate a mixture of people and housing options into neighborhoods and encourage redevelopment of older areas which are consistent with the existing built environment. Land use Section B, Objective 11, to encourage inward redevelopment and reinvestment of older areas of the city as sprawl continues to apply outward growth pressures. Land use Section B, Objective 12, to promote the integration of landscape buffers and new development plans to separate incompatible uses and provide aesthetic transitions between commercial, industrial, and residential uses. Land use Section B, Objective 13, to apply design standards to new multifamily residential developments within established neighborhoods to ensure that the urban fabric and pattern of the established neighborhoods are maintained. Land use Section B, Objective 16, to encourage infill development strategies wherever possible in a way that minimizes sprawl, promotes mixed-use development, and creates public spaces. Land use Section D, Strategy and Recommendation 1, strive to maintain a balance of land uses to reflect the overall vision of the comprehensive plan. This complex task ensures that tax revenues are generated to support residential developments and it is generally not self-supporting. It is crucial that an adequate supply of undeveloped land exists to ensure economic opportunities which are beneficial to the city will take place. In Land Use Section D, Strategy and Recommendation 2, the city should promote, consider, and approve developments that adhere to the density requirements and intensity of uses that are sustainable and fit within the strategies and recommendations of the plan. The city should administer development policies and procedures in conjunction with sound planning principles and flexibility to ensure that unforeseen circumstances and opportunities are properly considered within the overall context of the comprehensive plan. Residential densities are recommended to lessen as they move away from the core and primary corridors of the city. This shall serve as a means for transitioning to the low-density landscape that surrounds the city. In general, the density and intensity of development should be compatible with the general characteristics of the area in which the development is located, and that changes in density or intensity may be supported if it enhances the viability and character of the surrounding area. Higher density or intensity may be supported at key intersections and other locations that are appropriate for intensive activity. However, the design and execution of such development must be of high quality and integrate well within the surrounding area. Staff concludes that the immediate area features a limited number of diverse land uses. The site has historically been used commercially as a junkyard and was previously issued a variance of use from County BZA prior to annexation for a machine shop, a legal use that could materialize upon the entire real estate. The larger area features commercial zoning directly adjacent to single-family residential zoning, two uses that are not entirely compatible and could conflict depending on the specific commercial end uses. The application of a denser residential development would serve to further buffer the commercial uses from the single-family uses by providing a logical land use transition. The location of this parcel within walking distance to both an elementary school and a middle school makes it an ideal location for families, just the same as those residences in nearby Stony Brook Heights, Indian Ridge and the Wabash, Greenbrier subdivision, and others nearby. The future land use map attempts to assign a harmonious balance of compatible land uses to the area. The proposed rezoning would actually be a downzoning of the western section and an appropriate rezoning of the eastern portion, the same resulting in end classifications but making the dividing line shift to follow the actual property lines. The R1A zoning of the subdivision to the east would be further buffered by an additional 250 foot from the potentially B2 commercial intensive district along Etna Avenue. The application of the R2 zoning to this parcel would serve to further the transition from the more intensive Etna Avenue corridor near this intersection to the less dense single-family uses that exist to the east, from the east to the city limits. The future land use map portion of the comprehensive plan specifically calls for the parcel to develop split as commercial and residential medium density, and that line largely follows the existing zoning districts, and for reasons previously mentioned, split zoning a single parcel is less than ideal. Written parts of the plans, including the relevant goals, objectives, strategies, and recommendations of both the housing and the land use sections of the plan, offer support for the proposed use and rezoning. It cannot be overstated, however, that Huntington, like many communities, faces a housing shortage, especially in the area of market rate housing that is not entirely age or income restricted. If Huntington is to continue to grow, it must offer a variety of housing types in order to attract new residents and provide existing residents with additional housing options to meet their changing needs. As a result, helping to address the similar shortages in the workforce. A residential market potential analysis by Zimmerman Volk & Associates that was most recently updated in 2024 indicated that the city of Huntington has the potential to attract between 150 and 200 households annually over the next 5 years. The housing preference types indicated by those are diverse. 38% preferring rentals, 3% condominiums, 8% townhouses, and 51 detached single-family residences. The development would help to ease the current housing shortage by providing a decent number of the second most in-demand housing types. Market supply has not kept up with residential demand, as shown by the new dwelling unit permitting data for the city over the last 5 years, accounting for all dwelling types. In 2021, 24 units, 2022, 37 units, 2023, 29 units, 2024, 52 units, 2025, 15 units. That 5-year rolling average being 31.4 units. While the applicant has disclosed details of a prospective use of the property, it is important to note that a rezoning would allow for any of the permitted uses and potentially, with approval of the Board of Zoning Appeals, special exception uses as outlined in the schedule for the proposed R2 zoning district, that list being provided in your staff report. The permitted uses within the list are generally limited to 1- and 2-family dwellings and select institutional uses, including schools and churches. In preparation of your decision, just to remind the Commission, the criteria for rezoning, Indiana Code 3674603 states that in preparing and considering proposals under 600 series, the Plan Commission, and then subsequently the legislative body, shall pay reasonable regard to the following factors. 1, the comprehensive plan. 2, the current conditions and character of current structures and uses in each district. 3, their most desirable use for which land in each district is adapted. 4, the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction. And 5, responsible growth and development. In accordance with state law, Plan Commission shall give notice and hold a public hearing, which is what you're doing here this evening. Ultimately, the Plan Commission shall evaluate this proposal and issue a recommendation of favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation, and certify that such to the City Council for its ultimate consideration in the form of a rezoning ordinance. Staff recommendation for this request, staff finds that the proposed zoning district can be supported by the comprehensive plan and future land use map as demonstrated herein, and recommends a favorable recommendation of this request. One point of clarification, I just want to clarify something that Mr. Brown said. I imagine he's used to doing work in Allen County. We would not likely have a primary plat for this if it's not going to be subdivided. So any sort of technical review would not come back to the Plan Commission, but would rather go to the Development Plan Committee for site plan review. And that, of course, assumes council ultimately rezones the property, a special exception is ultimately approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals, there are more steps in that process before it gets to that end goal. I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you, Bryn. Does the commission have any questions for Bryn following that staff report?
Bryn, I know there was a lot of concerns about the former junkyard there, the environmental impact. Is that part of the process in terms of development, building, where they're going to have to do any sort of ground test?
That may very well be a part of that. I don't know. That's not something that they touched on. It is not anything that certainly falls under the Plan Commission's purview or the city's purview. Potentials for contamination, testing standards, those sort of things are going to be regulated first and foremost by IDEM. And secondly, if it rises above the IDEM level to, force cleanup, things like that, to the EPA. I don't know if they've done any testing. It doesn't sound like they probably have to date, but obviously there's a method to the madness, so to speak. It is their prerogative to decide, and to some extent the order of operations in which they go through things. Just to put it in perspective, it's probably $6,000 to $10,000 to have environmental work done. Their petition for the rezoning is a $250 fee. So they may very well do that. Their lenders, if that is the case, may very well require that. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. But at some point, those are decisions that they're ultimately going to have to come to bear with.
All right. Any other questions, comments from any of the commission members? Not hearing or seeing any at this time, I would entertain a motion for either a favorable, unfavorable, or a no recommendation to City Council.
I'll make a motion for a favorable recommendation to council.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second for a favorable recommendation. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion of a favorable recommendation to City Council, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Bryn, do you want to explain the next step real quick?
So next step for this, staff will prepare a rezoning ordinance, get that on the next council agenda. That will likely be the first meeting in March. What is that?
The 10th?
March 10th.
All right, thank you.
Bryn, do we want to read the findings of fact into?
You have no findings for this. You have findings for the next one.
The next one will have findings, yes.
The
All
next
right.
one is a final decision. This is just a recommendation. You're not the final arbitrator and the deciding factor. It's council in a legislative action.
Moving on, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, docket PC-26-002, application filed by Birch, Frank and Associates on behalf of Hangjun America, requesting primary plat approval for RFW subdivision, Section 2. Bryn, should that say Section 2 on the agenda? Or is it still Section 1? Okay, I'll read it correctly. The primary plat approval for RFW subdivision, Section 2, on property located at County Road 200 North and Progress Drive. Is the petitioner here regarding this item tonight? You want to step to the podium, give your name, address, and state the request.
My name is Matt Birch. I'm a professional surveyor with Birch, Frank and Associates. Our office is located at 811 Lawrence Drive in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm representing Hanjung, the property owner for the land. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the major subdivision This is located at the northwest corner of County Road 200 North, State Road 9. Like I said, it was Section 2. Section 1 has already been developed, so this is immediately adjacent to Section 1. It consists of 133 acres. It's currently zoned I-2. It's within the city, so this is an industrial subdivision with an industrial purpose. There are 4 lots that are proposed within this subdivision. They range in size from 22 acres to 38 acres, and each of the lots have a series of different easements on them that are proposed. There's some drainage easements, and there's also some utility easements. Each of these lots will connect to the existing public drive that's out there. It's called Progress Drive. It's a public roadway. That roadway will be extended a little bit further to the north, and there'll be a cul-de-sac on the north end of that. And each lot will have access to it. There's a 20-foot by 20-foot sign easement located in the southeast corner of lot number 5 that's proposed. And each one of these lots will be served by sanitary and water service that's provided by the city. The property is not located in a flood zone. There are a couple of legal drains that run through the property right now, and each of those drains is considered a regulated drainage ditch. That would be regulated by the county surveyor's office and a drainage board. Those also have easements associated with them that are typically 75 feet on either side. Those are shown on the plat. The stormwater from this site drains to those ditches that I mentioned. It's north underneath the railroad, and then back to the east underneath State Road 9, back north then to the Wabash River. Stormwater plan for this site's already been submitted and approved by the city. I think that's all the information I have on it.
Do any of the commission members have any questions for the petitioner at this time? Thank you. At this time, we would open the public hearing portion of the meeting. And if there's any members of the public who would wish to speak, please step to the podium, state your name, address.
My name's Gary Johnson. I live at 3006 Trappers Cove at Hunter's Ridge. I'd like to know what the commissioner's thinking because we've had a water problem in our subdivision. I was told by this present mayor that we would get help because I have pressure tanks in every house in that subdivision. And for homeowners that are on fixed incomes, which I have several of them, you can't afford to replace pressure tanks. So I'm asking, where are you getting water? And how's the sewage going to be tied in? And what are you going to do about the road that enters our subdivision, which would affect the entrance where he's talking about going in? Because it's right across from that trailer park. It's right up from us and right in from down, it's right in the middle of between the trailer park and our subdivision. And Mayor Strick told me that it would not be a problem, that he would take care of our water problem because they put the tower on the wrong side of the road. That tower was supposed to be on our side and not on that side. And then he said that they were going to start piping stuff up 200 North. So we've never heard a word about any of this since then. And then also I want to know one other question, and Brian, I think you're the city engineer, correct? That'd be you?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what you want to do with the property that was sold between us and the trailer park. Because that is all chained off, bought by a doctor, Wang Kui, out of Fort Wayne, and you have to have access because you have sewer there, because I was going to redo that in there at one time, and I was told, we'll raise the sewer up. The city was going to give us everything to fix it. Now, what are they going to do about getting me access to that road? Because that is our emergency exit for Hawk Springs Road to get out. I'd appreciate some answers on this because I have no choice except to write those folks a letter and try to meet with them and say, hey, I need to have legal rights to get in from Hawk Springs around. Otherwise, if there's a problem in our subdivision, we're screwed. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
My name is William Gare. I live at 1932 Hunters Ridge Drive in the subdivision across the road. I'm just kind of curious about densities. I know they mentioned who determines what that acceptable densities would be. Is there a formula for that? Who makes that decision? That'd be one question. And then the traffic flow. Trying to get in and out of the subdivision, they kind of railroaded the factory in without anybody knowing across the street. And I know they have put a turn lane in, but I mean, that looks like quite a development. I don't know what kind of, how many people we're talking, what kind of traffic. You know, we only have a fairly short distance from there to Highway 9. You know, and so I'm not sure what the plan is. Is there going to be apartments, houses? We're going to be, you know, it's going to be a 300 people apartment trying to file, and everybody's going to be wanting to go east. I mean, that's not a very, you might have to put another 2 lanes in. But those are just some of my concerns and questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Todd Little, 4611 West, 200 North. I guess my main question is, what are they doing after they subdivide it? Are they going to sell it to whoever comes along? I guess my understanding was that the company that bought it was going to put 3 buildings on it, on all different areas. The city was kind of very picky on who they sold it to make sure that they had something that wasn't going to be an eyesore. I thought they had contingencies in their contract when they sold it, that they couldn't parcel it off and sell it off to whoever come along without the city's approval. Maybe that didn't get put in there, but my concern is, are they going to sell it to whoever comes along? We've already got a building being built there now in the process, getting ready to start, that I asked Bryn the other day, and he said he has no idea what they're manufacturing. I feel like that's kind of irresponsible, that we're going to let a building go in that we don't even know what they're manufacturing. At this point, they was digging down there today, preliminary holes, I guess. So it's already underway, and we don't know what it is, or at least Bryn says he has no idea what it is. I don't know if anybody here can tell me what is going to be manufactured in the existing or the building that's getting ready to go up, and if they're going to sell this off, or if they're going to build on the other 3 parcels after they build on this parcel. I feel like that we need to know what they're going to do with it before you approve a subdivision. I live right across the road, and we look at this valley. It's a beautiful valley, and now it's going to turn into brick and mortar, and the Hunters Ridge people have to look at it. The trailer court's got to look at it, and we don't want to look at, the city turned down a scrapyard because they didn't want that to be down there. And if the city can't regulate what's going to go in there, then I think it shouldn't be subdivided.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
My name is Bruce Mevis. I live at Hunters Ridge, and my biggest concern is what we're going to be looking at and the traffic that it takes to develop this. How's that all going to affect us? And I haven't been at
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
this gentleman that got up and spoke first. I'm in a lot of line with the questions that he had, in the same ones. I can't repeat everything. I'm having trouble speaking right now, but I am concerned about what's going to go on there. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Victoria Gear. I live at 1932 Hunters Ridge Drive. I just have a comment. Children are not allowed to walk to and from street. That was just a comment.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Not seeing or hearing any. I would offer the petitioner a chance to add any other additional comments if they feel.
Hello, my name is Dan Brinsfield, civil engineer with Engineering Resources, located at 4175 New Vision Drive, Fort Wayne. There were a lot of comments, so I'll do my best to, there were a few comments that seemed like it was a city coordination thing that I may not be able to answer. As far as water and sewer go, so first stating, let's actually back up to what this is planned for. So this is for subdividing land that's already zoned for current uses. The plan currently today is just to develop the first middle lot, the lot 4 on the page. There were future ideas for lots 3 and 5 to be the same, you know, more buildings, but there's 0 plans at this time to make that happen. And I think that will be for the future to hold to what those are. The property located in the middle, the plan for that building is not residential. It's one single industrial manufacturing system. I can't answer what they will be manufacturing. They will be manufacturing housings for battery systems that will be shipped out from that location. There will be no batteries of any kind of storage on the property. It'll be simply for the manufacturing of the housings. Those will be shipped off somewhere else. The batteries will be inserted, and I actually don't know where it goes. Let's see, what else do we have? We can go back to the water and the sewer. So we have run calculations for water and sewer for this property with no problems at all. I think it's a 12-inch water main that was extended down Progress Drive. We've ran water calculations, and it will sufficiently serve our facility. For sewage, there will be a lift station planned because of the elevation of the property. It's kind of sunken down in that area, so a lift station is planned. Pump sewage back out, back south to the main line. Can't remember if I don't think anybody brought up stormwater, but just to clarify in case there's any worries, because that seems to be a worry all the time, there will be sufficient water, stormwater detention on the north end of the property, and it will be far exceeds what the stormwater requirements are for that property. It's also a lot of upstream drainage that's coming onto the property. That will be detained on the north end of the property and at a controlled rate back into the county regulated drain. So the runoff from the site will be drastically improved from what it is today in the adjacent properties. So traffic counts. Traffic seemed to be a very hot topic. So this will be one manufacturing facility. This won't be housing of any kind. You're right, everybody will want to go east. I think traffic counts were run for this first phase of development, for this development, and they did not necessitate any additional road improvements. I do know that working closely with the city of Huntington, that any further development of this property will continue to need traffic counts. Whatever's developed there, we will analyze it on a case-by-case basis. Right now, all the properties are owned by Hanjung. There's no plans at this time to sell those off to anybody else. I think what they're planning on doing is starting up this one, seeing how things go, and they might expand their facilities. That's their plan in the future. They don't have a timeline associated with that by any means, but I do know that with each new development, we will run traffic counts and make sure that to account for any lane improvements that may be needed for that. I hope that I answered everybody's questions. There was something At the end, I wasn't sure exactly what was being said there at the last comment, so I'm happy to talk outside with gentlemen if that would help. With that, I'm open to any questions, and I'll leave it back to the committee.
Does the commission have any questions for the petitioner?
I do have one. So you said that you've made the calculations for the water, for the loss and everything. The gentleman earlier asked, how's that going to affect their side? Was that taken into consideration as you did those calculations?
So water demands are not calculated in that fashion. It's calculated for an individual facility. So all of those fixtures are running at the same time. It's not taking into account it's taken into account, what they do is they test that pressure on that line at multiple different places. And that's the pressure that's currently being used. So that neighborhood is using that water, that they're testing that, we're accounting for that. So it does take into account from that standpoint what the water line is currently.
Let me just add, and maybe this will put a little bit of clarification. Just on the 13th, the city's contractor, Fox Contracting, successfully bored a new 12-inch water main under the Little River, or under the Wabash River at the State Road 9 bypass there. You can see that in the background. That is part of the city's ongoing commitment to add redundancy to the southwest side, including this industrial park, for the benefit of not only this park, but additional residential users such as Hunters Ridge and the mobile home courts. This connection to the north side of town will allow not only for a second redundant river crossing. Right now, the only water main to the southwest portion of the city runs through the end of Indian Ridge, back through the current industrial park, and back feeds that way. So not only will this add redundancy to that river crossing, which was put in the 70s to facilitate that industrial park, but this directly ties into the north side system. And so the north side of Huntington, obviously, you folks that have been around for quite a while know as you go north, you go up, and those water towers are certainly up at a higher clip than that. So that will provide sufficient pressure both for domestic purposes and for firefighting purposes for the benefit of not only this industrial park, but the surrounding area. To the comments specifically regarding the water tower and the location, I don't know that to be true. I find that hard to believe, given that the industrial park was constructed in the 70s and the residential subdivision didn't go in until the 90s. So I don't know how the water tower's on the wrong side of the road, but nonetheless, this is what the city is doing now to address the water pressure. This has been under design for the last 6 to 12 months as part of the plans that were developed 2 years ago. It's a $1.8 million project. We don't push those projects out like that. We've got to plan for those capitally and be able to finance those, so.
Thank you.
Sorry, I only interjected because
Thank you,
it's
Brent.
not their project, it's the
Yes.
city's project, and I know enough.
Any other questions?
With no other questions from the commission to the petitioner, that would conclude this portion of the public hearing. I'll turn it over to Bryn again for staff report.
Yeah, let me pull it up here and. So I will say that the department received 3 phone calls from residents. I know 2 of them are here tonight. I don't know about the third. There seemed to be a great deal of misinformation out there about what this project was and what it wasn't, where it was located and where it was not. So hopefully we've cleared a lot of that up this evening through the information presented and the questions and that. Moving ahead. The request before you tonight is for primary plat of RFW Section 2, comprised of 4 lots ranging from 22 to 37 acres in the following right-of-ways, including 80-foot of Progress Drive and extended roadway. The applicant seeks to plat the 4-lot section, and the city will install and upgrade infrastructure in support of the planned industrial growth. As Mr. Brinsfield said, the property is located at the northwest corner of State Road 9 and County Road 200 North. The property is currently comprised of one parcel and located north of 200 North, east of Rangeline Road, south of the railroad tracks, and west of State Road 9. A gas station, Hunters Ridge Subdivision, and Valley View Mobile Home Park all exist south of this location. Tejian Automotive Technologies is in the southeast corner of the industrial park, which was platted as Section 1 by the property owner HQ'd, Huntington County United Economic Development, in 2021. The subject property is zoned I-2 industrial that has been zoned that way since 2021. And the following following zoning classifications and land uses exist immediately adjacent to the subject property. To the north in the county exists agricultural land. To the east, I-2 industrial across the highway. To the south exists I-2 industrial in Section 1, B2 business at the gas station, R2 residential in the subdivision, R3 residential in the mobile home court, and ag in the county. And to the west, ag in the county. Land uses exist north, agricultural tillable land, to the east, industrial within the original River Fork Industrial Park, and to the south and the west, residential and agricultural uses. In terms of the history of the site, the property has been under the jurisdiction of the city since 2009 and 2020, when it was annexed in as 5 separate parcels under 2 different annexation actions. Subject property real estate has historically been used as tillable cropland, and zoning was established in Huntington County in October of 1984. In 2021, the property was rezoned from agricultural to I-2 industrial by action of City Council. The site has frontage on State Road 9, albeit limited access, at County Road 200 North and Progress Drive. The property abuts Knoll Fork and Southern Railroad to the north, State Road 9 and a factory to the east, gas station, residential subdivision, mobile home community, and farm and residence to the south, and tillable cropland and residential uses to the west. Access is being proposed along the existing Progress Drive, an 80-foot public right-of-way, and additional lots will be serviced by a future extension to Progress Drive, which will culminate in an elongated cul-de-sac. Phase 1, under 2 different phases is how the city proposes to address this. Under Phase 1, the current temporary cul-de-sac south of the open drain will be paved as part of a sewer extension and lift station project. That project is currently under design. Phase 2, at some point in the future, Progress Drive will be extended across the ditch, probably via a 3-sided box or culvert, and terminated to serve the remainder of the lots. The road will feature curb and gutter, stormwater inlets as opposed to open ditches, and room for sidewalks. A water main extension will be incorporated as part of that project so that lots 2 and 3 become serviceable. Future improvements may also include additional work to County Road 200 North, west to the city limits, and if so, the road would feature curb and gutter, stormwater inlets as opposed to open ditches, and a wide sidewalk on the north side. Several intersection improvements will also eventually be made on the east side of State Road 9 at 200 North. The existing property is 2 branches of the Sigmund Heron Baker Drain, a county-regulated legal drain. The Huntington County Surveyor and the Drainage Board have regularly been consulted about drainage aspects of this industrial park as it has been developed. The County Surveyor's Office was provided a copy of the primary plat for review and comments by the Drainage Board at its February 19, 2026 meeting, and any of those comments I'm going to share with you tonight. The only particular comment, it was more of a note, was in between each of the lots, and in particular, between Lot 2 and Lot 3, there exists a platted utility easement, drainage utility easement 20 foot in width. That is a commonality of common drainage that exists and utility easement between all of the lots on their interior shared boundaries. So for consistency's sake, that is why that was included. The reality being that 20-foot wide easement is basically swallowed up by an open ditch. The thing to keep in mind is what is an open ditch today may become a pipe drain tomorrow as development happens. So if that is the case, then there does still exist the need for having utility easements and drainage easements for swales in between there. And in addition to that, the Drainage Board still has ultimate authority within their 75-foot statutory easement as to what happens in there. So that would be the only comment that the Drainage Board has provided back from us. The stormwater drainage plan provided for this development will require each site to provide for its own detention in accordance with the city's requirements and to be reviewed by the Development Plan Committee. Stormwater associated with the roadway improvements will be collected into the newly installed storm pipes with capacity built in and directed to the existing ditches and drains for controlled release. Land use covenants have been applied to the real estate on-site detention. Again, those covenants are private restrictions that are between the original owner of the lot, Huntington County United Economic Development, and the eventual end users, and in this case, that being Hanzhong, and prior to that being Teijin. All new and upgraded public roadways will be constructed to city standards, and design considerations for those segments will meet the anticipated volume and weight classes of traffic projected. A water and sewer capacity letter dated February 9, 2026 has been provided by city engineering, stating that sufficient capacities exist within city utilities. A roadway access letter dated February 9, 2026 has been provided by city engineering, stating that access for the subdivision on Progress Drive as extended and then connecting to 200 North is permissible. A traffic study was previously conducted by ERI and reviewed by the city and NDOT and approved for use in the design criteria of this industrial subdivision going forward. The chief assumption made was that development patterns, traffic loading, and Sahara and semi-distribution would be compatible to the existing River Fork Industrial Park. Quite honestly, it's a little bit different and less intense because the overall number of users in this 5-6 lot subdivision will be much less than the 20 lots across the street. Should any individual user anticipate traffic demands that exceed those basic assumptions, the individual traffic studies may be required by the Development Plan Committee. Staff's discussion for your benefit this evening. This development proposal is a bit atypical in that the City of Huntington has been the primary financial backer for this industrial park as it relates to both land acquisition and infrastructure improvements. Therefore, many of the more standard financial assurances, bonding, letters of credit, and the likes, which would be required from typical private developers, are not in play at this location. To that end, enclosed in your packets is a commitment letter from Mayor Strick concerning infrastructure improvements. And in addition, the city has established a tax increment financing district for the area. This has already provided a majority of the funds to finance River Fork Drive, RFW Section 1 infrastructure improvements, and will similarly be utilized to fund Section 2 and all future improvements. In addition to financing infrastructure upgrades at the existing River Fork Industrial Park across the street. So in theory, the tax is paid. The real property taxes paid for the users in this park will go to not only build out the infrastructure that will service them, but also improve the larger area along 200 there for both industrial parks and the adjacent facilities. As mentioned, the plat contains provisions for additional right-of-way dedication for expanded roadways, and the plat also contains suitable utility easements to facilitate growth and development. City engineering will oversee the construction of all improvements to ensure that they're at meet city specifications, and the subdivision plat committee has performed a primary plat request at its February 16th meeting and only has one technical comment in that the developer's zip code is missing from the address. Mr. Birch has been made aware of that and will correct this on the secondary plat submission. So just to highlight all of the things that obviously you got in your packet that relate to this, that being the mayor's infrastructure commitment letter in lieu of financial surety, in which the city pledges to finance the sanitary sewer and regional lift station and Progress Drive extension, the engineering department's water and sewer capacity letter, the engineering department's street access letter, and the RFW street and roadway standards, in addition to, finally, the stormwater drainage plan, which covers the drainage plan for this subdivision for both individual lots and public roadways. In preparation of your decision tonight for primary plat approval, Indiana Code 3674702 states that in determining whether to grant primary approval of the plat, the Plan Commission or the Plat Committee acting on the Commission's behalf shall determine if the plat or subdivision qualifies for primary approval under the standards prescribed by the subdivision control ordinances. City Code 158.010A5 states that the Commission may approve the primary plat only in determination in writing that A, the primary plat is in compliance with all applicable city codes and ordinances, B, adequate water, sewage, and other utility services can be obtained for each proposed lot. C, adequate stormwater management facilities are provided for each lot. D, adequate vehicular access facilities are provided for by the applicant, and that a city, county, or state drive approach permit can be obtained for each lot. As always, the Commission may impose reasonable conditions as part of its approval. It may also waive submission of particular document or item as required by the subdivision codes 156.012. No sooner than 30 days after any approval of the primary plat, the Plat Committee may consider a secondary plat approval. That's where they will take any changes that you have into consideration and merge them into the final document that will ultimately be signed off and recorded. The plat committee may also consider a secondary plat approval at that time after that expiration of 30 days. So technically, the earliest that could occur would be March 28th of 2026, but in reality, due to meeting times and things like that, it will be at the April 14th, 2026 subdivision plat committee meeting, assuming you approve the primary plat today. In accordance with state law, the Planning Commission shall give notice and hold a public hearing, which is what we're doing here this evening, and the Planning Commission is required by law to make affirmative findings on each of the criteria in order to approve the primary plat. Staff recommends that the board make sufficient findings and approve the primary plat as presented. With that, obviously, the one change to the zip code, which has previously been noted and will be corrected. Any questions for me?
No, I will say I appreciate you sharing about the new water main that's being built there, just so we're all aware of that, and hopefully that addressed some people's concerns.
I might add, Brent, this became before City Council last Tuesday night, and it passed 6-0-7-0, recommended to go ahead and proceed with it.
Yeah, so to expand on that, thanks, Dave, because that brings up another good point. So a project of this size, or any project with a lot of moving parts, there are different steps that have to be undertaken. The point that Councilman Funk is bringing up is in regards to the city's approval of a tax phase-in schedule for a 10-year abatement at a certain percentage of the initial tax liability for this improvement and development of Lot 4, the particular one in question. I also did happen to see today that the governor's office and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation did announce this project. When you're dealing at the level of the governor's office with a 300-plus employer for this particular Lot 4, which again is not the topic of tonight, but it's certainly a part of it, it takes some time for schedules and statements and things like that, in addition to the fact that you're dealing with a large corporation that has its own timeframes and things. So yeah, there are many pieces to this. I think that's maybe the point that you were trying to make, but that council has ultimately supported the initial steps on things that are in their purview.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission for staff? Not seeing or hearing any, we will move on to the findings, as Bren mentioned in the staff report, which are required. Miranda, would you please read the findings?
Number 1, the primary plat is in compliance with all applicable city codes and ordinances.
Yes, the bulk development standards of each lot comply with relevant zoning ordinance provisions, and the primary plat is consistent with the applicable provisions of the subdivision control ordinance relating to design principles and standards.
Andrew Rinsberger,
Yes.
Rabia Ayub,
Yes.
Adam Cuttress,
Yes.
Dave Funk,
Yes.
Tanner Babb,
Yes.
Scott Thornsberry.
Yes.
Number 2, adequate water, sewage, and other utility services can be obtained for each proposed lot.
Yes, as demonstrated by the water and sewer capacity letters provided by city engineering. City has written commitment to provide certain water, sewer, and roadway facilities prior utility extensions to the investor-owned facilities within River Fork Section 1. Utility services are either in place or planned and available for connection.
Tanner Babb,
Yes.
Dave Funk,
Yes.
Scott Thornsberry,
Yes.
Rabia Ayub,
Yes.
Adam Cuttress,
Yes.
Andrew Rinsberger.
Yes.
Number 3, adequate stormwater management facilities are provided for each lot.
Yes, due to the large lot size and potential variance in percentages of the lot development, the stormwater drainage plan for River Fork West, Section 2, calls for each individual lot to provide on-site stormwater detention facilities and water quality measures in accordance with the city's stormwater control ordinance. Those individual plans will be reviewed as part of any development plan approval. Public roadway runoff to be calculated and handled with each roadway extension project, and shared or common facilities will be provided for the protected by easement between lots.
Rabia Ayub,
Yes.
Tanner Babb,
Yes.
Adam Cutress,
Yes.
Andrew Rinsberger,
Yes.
Scott Thornsberry,
Yes.
Dave Funk.
Yes.
Number 4, adequate vehicular access facilities are provided for by the applicant.
Yes, as demonstrated by the city's infrastructure commitment letter, it will finance and construct the improvements needed in the extension of Progress Drive in the phases as part of the development.
Dave Funk,
Yes.
Andrew Rinsberger,
Yes.
Scott Thornsberry,
Yes.
Adam Cutress,
Yes.
Rabia Ayub,
Yes.
Tanner Babb.
Yes.
Number 5, a city, county, or state driveway approach permit can be obtained for each lot.
As demonstrated by the street access letter provided by city engineering, access for each lot is available and expected, and the roadway system will be designed and constructed with the anticipated needs of this subdivision in mind. All lots will access Progress Drive and are expected to connect with the larger roadway via CR 200 North to State Road 9.
Scott Thornsberry,
Yes.
Rabia Ayub,
Yes.
Tanner Babb,
Yes.
Dave Funk,
Yes.
Adam Cutress,
Yes.
Andrew Rinsberger.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I lost my docket and all the papers. With the findings presented, I'd entertain a motion for approval of the primary plat of RFW subdivision section 2.
I make a motion for approval with a favorable.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, discussion items for the board. Are there any discussion items tonight?
Yeah, I've got one. There's a lot, this is the final week in the General Assembly, and it's a short session, and there's a lot of bills flying around, good, bad, and ugly, and otherwise. And so there's a couple of them that I just wanted to provide you guys with an update on. Some of them relate to some of the things that have been discussed here tonight. And I do not purport to represent this as the final legislative outcome at the General Assembly that they may or may not be voting on. There are certainly committee amendments that can happen and could have happened today and I'd be unaware of. There are bills that could die in committee and not be brought up for a vote or die in passing from one side of the House to the Senate, or that the governor doesn't ultimately vote on. So House Bill 1001, Housing Matters, and then in the highlighted portions just, again, are the kind of the things that may apply or be of concern to the Planning Commission, provides that the following are permitted uses without a hearing. So tonight we did a hearing on a rezoning, a hearing on a primary plat. One of those hearings centered around potential additional residential development, so that single-family dwellings and duplexes in all residential zones. So as of right now, the R1 zoning district doesn't allow for anything other than single-family dwellings. If this state law in this current form were to be adopted, it would allow duplexes to be everywhere. I don't know the particulars of if there are any qualifiers for that. I obviously, as staff, have concerns in some of the older areas of the community where lots were split up pre-subdivision control, and you have, you know, a house occupying 90% of a small postage stamp lot, and if somebody goes in there and decides, we can make this a duplex. I can add, you know, the partial second story that's already there, or extend it out, or do something, and there's no room for parking, and all of a sudden you've got 2 units, and each one has 3 vehicles. I mean, there's just a whole lot of concerns. I get what the General Assembly is doing in trying to increase housing options. I don't necessarily agree with the way that they are giving a one-size-fits-all approach to that. Also allows for accessory dwelling units within a single-family dwelling, so it's very similar to number 1. Somebody could go in and carve out, you know, a one-room rental or something like that potentially within their single-family dwelling, or depending again on how it's written, converting garages into additional dwelling units. That's been pretty popular. Affordable housing on property purchased by religious institutions before January 1 of 2025 in a residential or commercial zone, that becomes by right. That obviously applies very narrowly to a problem somewhere in the 92 counties that I'm not familiar with. Provides that the following apply to a unit. Unit does not opt out. A unit in this case would be a unit of government, a city, county, so forth. Prohibits a unit from requiring more than a specified number of parking spaces for multifamily dwellings, single-family dwellings, or commercial space. Prohibits the unit from regulating design elements of residential structures. That's not a thing that we particularly do here. The donut counties around Indianapolis, that's pretty popular. Requires a mixed-use residential or multifamily residential development to be a permitted use in an area zoned for commercial. So the rezoning that you heard tonight, obviously, if this were to be the case, then half of that land on the west side that's already zoned for commercial would be a permitted use without anything. Right now, multifamily in both residential and commercial uses are special exceptions. So those have to go to the BZA for additional consideration and review. Number 4, prohibits a unit from imposing requirements on lot sizes, densities, setbacks, building bulk on certain lots or parcels. Provides that a structure classified as an R2 occupancy that is not more than 3 stories or 24 units in total shall be permitted to have a passenger elevator not larger than elevators to accommodate a wheelchair. Adds requirements that regarding the location of impact zones designated by a unit after June 30th, 2026, provides that after December 31st, 26, if a unit fails to update its zoning ordinance within 1 year after adopting or amending its comprehensive plan, that the unit must approve a project that complies with the comprehensive plan or the zoning ordinance. So pick one or the other. After December 31st, 2026, restricts a unit's ability to impose or increase fees relating to building approvals or permits. That's important. Our building permit fees haven't been updated since the 90s. It's something that we've constantly talked about needing to do. They are a loss leader and not in a good way for the community, for the city, but we are at the bottom of that, and we don't even cover our cost, I guess, is maybe some of the concern that we have. Delays implementation of a building permit increase to 180 days after publication of the ordinance. Beginning January 1 of 27, requires a unit to annually report to the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority certain information concerning housing and the units. I can't tell you guys how much of my time is devoted to completing reports that go to someone in the state that I'm not sure if they ever review them or what, if any, comes out of it. So I'm very excited at the prospect of doing more reporting. Right now, the current status, on the 24th, it was 3rd reading passed. So that looks like it's kind of moving. House Bill 1161, this pertains to you guys as appointed members. It is particularly concerning to me for the Board of Zoning Appeals. Because right now, Plan Commission and Board of Zoning Appeal members are appointed and may not be removed except for cause. This would provide that, and this applies across a myriad of local government bodies, not just land use. Provides that individuals who are appointed to certain boards, committees, or other bodies in a county that does not have a consolidated city, so that is Indianapolis, so it's everybody but Indianapolis, serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority as long as the office holder who appointed the original individual continues to hold the office, or the board, committee, or body that appointed the individual retains all of the same members who served that when that individual member was appointed. So it is basically a at-will, at-pleasure removal and service. Again, the BZA, who's quasi-judicial and statutorily set up with guardrails that protected and give it a certain bit of immunity from political influence, that is a concern of mine, but the General Assembly will do what the General Assembly will do. Current status, House concurred with Senate amendments, roll call 297 yay, roll call 297, 93 yays and 1 nay. So that looks pretty happening. House Bill 1333, land use and development, requires that development that is sited on land that is, 1, in an area zoned agricultural, and 2, comprised of certain capability classes of soils to be a permitted use. Mr. Sproul, I believe you're familiar with this one. So what that basically does is they would look at the USDA soil map and say, yeah, the soil's not really good for farming, so you can pretty much do whatever else you want to do on this. And I know your concern deals with solar and data and some of those other more concerning potential land uses, especially for you folks in the county.
Was originally written, and if they classified the soils, anything, it can only be in something other than 1, 2, or 3 class. To give you an example, my home township of Wayne Township would only have 500 acres that would be eligible for those kind of developments.
Out of?
It's only 3%.
3%.
Is in those other classes.
But then you got to look at other things too, right? Like, is it in a floodplain or some other
yes.
poorly situated?
But I was just surprised. I thought it might be, 5, maybe 10, but it's not even that out there in Wayne Township. We don't have great.
So not a large percentage, but as far as a methodical and expected procedure for a predictable outcome of land use, there's no weighted metric to that. It's soil classification and all. So, also allows a plan commission, board of zoning appeals, or a county municipal legislative body to require a person to provide their name and address in writing in order to speak at a public hearing regarding certain matters. Never had this problem, but conceivably somebody could come up to the podium and refuse to identify themselves, and then we have kind of a standoff as to, it's hard for us to put that in the minutes as to who they are. Allows the body's presiding officer to give consideration to whether a person is a county resident or has an interest as an owner, lessee, or life tenant in property within the county, including in the order of speakers and the amount of time allotted to speakers at a hearing. So not really a concern for us. I know our friends over at the county have had some long and contentious hearings in which not only do they go late and you're trying to limit the amount of repetitive testimony, but also you have folks who are coming in from outside who may not have his skin in the game as much as residents. So as of right now is the 5th. That was referred to the committee on utilities. That tells me it's probably dead if it hasn't made it anywhere out of the committee, but never say never. So those are just 3 bits of legislation that are out there. I wanted to bring your guys' attention. Obviously, whatever ends up coming out of the General Assembly and makes it out of the shake, we'll comply with as we need to and make adjustments. But yeah.
So with the one that was in there, with basically the change of the appointing authority, basically anytime there would be a mayoral change, it would completely flip certain boards. Is that what that means?
Well, this says serve at the pleasure of the authority so long as the office holder who appointed the individual continues to hold office. So that I would, again, without reading the actual text of the bill, this is just a summary that AIM provided, I would say that you would likely be not subject to that sort of overt political replacement, but if you got reappointed by a new administration and that administration then had qualms with a decision that you would make and wanted to remove you, again, there's so much tit for tat in politics, especially at the national level, and just it concerns me to see that sort of divisiveness rolled down to the local level. But as Jim, who's coming from some contentious hearings over there, can attest, it's a different animal than it was when you started how many years ago? Yeah. So I don't know, Tanner. Again, I didn't pull it. I'm just reading the synopsis, but I'm just making you all aware that these are the sort of things that the legislators are considering.
Is that it?
That's all I have. I know Mr. Sproul is here from the county. He's the non-voting advisor from the County Planning Commission, and so many of you have not had a chance to meet him before, but I think he wanted to kind of fill you guys in on some stuff that's happening over there.
Yeah, we just, if you've been following it at all, we sent a recommendation to the commissioners for a moratorium on data centers, battery storage, and carbon sequestering. as Brent and I visited, those may not be concerns at all for the city because of the scale and the size of the projects. However, you know, it's sort of like we are going to go at this pretty slow here over the next year to make sure we try to cover as many bases as we can and we get as much public input as we possibly can. So if you visit with people, you know, we're more than happy to hear from opinions within the city limits for county ordinance like that. Trust me, we get plenty of city involvement anyway for our county issues. So, and then I want to thank you for the opportunity to sit in. I'm going to work very hard to make sure that your representative for our board gets a chance to, I know we're not meeting in March, so you won't be getting one for March. I did get that. But I think it's important that, I guess you asked how long I've been at it. I've been at it long enough that this used to only be one board. Well, whatever. I mean, it was everybody was in, and then the city, is that when it was? 2014. And so at that time, we said, oh, well, let's have a representative to, however you want to say it, sit. We can't vote, but there are times, it was just like, one of the things I also wanted to see this evening was the extension or the improvement out there at the industrial park. I mean, that's butted right against agriculture. It's crossing 2 county-regulated ditches. And that's stuff that, for the county, you know, we just want to make sure we are aware and understand what's going on. So it's just a good opportunity for us to know what each other is doing and trade ideas and helpful hints. So thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it, Brent. Thank you, President.
Any other discussion items from the board tonight? Not hearing or seeing any there. Next item on the agenda, items from the citizens. Any items from the citizens? Not seeing or hearing any there. Items of discussion by the board members. All right, not seeing or hearing any there. Director's report. Bren, do you have any report for us?
Just real briefly, I sent everybody an email with the annual report from the department in there. It is a little untimely this year, I guess I should say. It is a little delayed from normal because of the flurry of pending legislation at the General Assembly. The mayor has opted to delay giving the state of the city, and then so it kind of has a ripple effect. No departments want to kind of steal that thunder because a lot of individual things and achievements from departments are in that state of the city. So he will be giving those, I believe, starting next week. So I wanted to email that out to all of you, the annual report. So you guys should have all got that in your inbox the other day. Again, a little later, but nonetheless, it's all in there. As always, I welcome any questions, comments, or concerns that you have after you've had a chance to review it. I don't expect everybody to review it the same day I send it, Tanner, all 27 pages, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
It's actually 32, I think.
Oh, okay. Shows you that I had it done 2 months ago, right? Yes, that's all I have for you. Any questions for me? Okay.
All right. The last item on the agenda is entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a
I second
second?
it.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.